Okay, so if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First off, it's free. There's no added fees, nothing up front. It's just straight up free. So you can easily just get started if you want to make a podcast today. Second, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer, whatever you prefer. I personally use my phone because I'm always on the go. Thirdly, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so we can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you could ever need to make a podcast in one simple place. So why not go on ahead and download the free Anchor app? Or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey guys, it's Shady here. You know I couldn't forget this segment of the podcast, and that is Shady Says. Now, I'm really not gonna do a quote for this episode, especially because we are going through a situation known as COVID-19, aka the coronavirus, which has restricted us to our homes due to quarantine lockdowns throughout the world, and has kind of left us without really much to do on a day-by-day basis. So what I decided I would do was kind of come on here and share a couple things that I myself have decided to do to keep myself occupied and productive during this this time in our lives, and to keep a positive mindset, because having a positive mindset is always key in order to combat certain situations such as COVID-19. So number one, of course, I'm working on my podcast, as you can see with episode number 2. I've been given a lot more time to kind of flesh out ideas and segments for each episode, and I'm hoping to get episodes 3 and 4 out to you guys as soon as I can. And also some recorded segments from some guests, of course remotely, because 6 feet distance from each other. So those will be done remotely. Number 2, I actually started a YouTube channel. Is there much on this YouTube channel as of right now? Not really. I figured I would branch out my podcast audience to the YouTube platform and, kind of build up an audience there. So as of right now, there will only be postings of episodes from this podcast on there. And then hopefully in the near future, I will decide to do vlogging once I get the right equipment for it, as well as gaming segments, DIYs perhaps, and maybe, I don't know, music production? But that's a far-fetched idea. But it could be possible. I'll keep you guys updated. Number 3, as I stated in the last episode, which is the first episode, I do a lot of fan fiction writing. I'm still currently working on a lot of stories that are like maybe 2, 3, 4 years old, because they are not complete. I'm also working on a lot of newer stories that are fresh as of this year and last year as well. I'm even posting a lot of snippets on my Shady art blog on Tumblr, and I will also put links on the Shady Corner blog as well, so you guys can kind of check that out, of course, after this podcast. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of writing there. Number 4, I have been gaming non-stop. You guys know from this episode and the past episode that I've stated that I'm a huge video game nerd, and that I have decided to set myself up a challenge. I'd like to thank a couple of gaming YouTubers that I've been watching lately. Mystic, as well as Press X to Lucy. I hope I got her name right. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get as many platinum trophies as I can on my PlayStation account. I'm not trying to get a certain amount of platinums. I'm not setting up a time limit per se for this challenge. It's just to see how many I can get. And as of right now, I have 5 platinum trophies on my account. And I'm working on numbers 6 and 7. So stay tuned for an update on that in the next episode. We're on number 4, right? 4. Okay. 4. Why not pick up a good book? Pick up a book you haven't even started yet. Pick up a book you haven't even finished, per se. And just read. Because reading can take you to like another world and kind of get your mind off of, what's going on in the real world. And I love reading. Like, it's like projecting yourself into another reality, another world, and immersing yourself. It's really fun. You should try it. Number 5. Drawing? Yeah, draw. If you can't draw, but you want to draw. If you can draw, then go ahead and draw. Make some art. Discover a new hobby for yourself, pretty much. To keep yourself occupied. And on that note, on the creative note, I say if you're wanting to make yourself an online store, do it. Because I've tried to do it in the past. I might revamp it, might not, but hey, go for it. Like, if you want to do it. Now's, or any time is a good time to do it. So yeah, those are a couple things I've done to keep myself occupied during this time. And I hope you guys can or will take some of these ideas and make them into your own. And if you guys do, or if you guys, if you guys make your own ideas come into reality, let me hear about it. I want to hear from you guys, definitely. So, love you guys. Stay safe, stay sane, stay inside, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Hey yo, it's your mysterious voice Shady here again with another episode of the Shady Corner. Now, disclaimer, this was intended for last month, way before we were in quarantine. Unfortunately, I did not get around to recording it for that time, so we're gonna have to do it for today. Anyways, what should we talk about today? Let's see. Well, with the latest information from Sony on the PS5 and its development, I think it would be fitting to elaborate on some video games. Especially since that's what I've mostly been engrossed in since the beginning of quarantine for me, which started almost a month ago. Now, bear in mind, I'm a little out of the loop as far as specs and such for technology, but I'm gonna try my best. Also, another disclaimer, this will be the birthday episode as well, because as I'm recording it today, it would be the day after my birthday, and probably the day that this will be posted, it will be 2 days after my birthday. So a happy belated birthday on the day of recording, as well as a happy belated birthday on the day that this goes up. So just so you know, I'm another year older, another year wiser. I wouldn't say wiser, but another year older. Anyway, so we recently just got an official announcement from Sony about 5 days ago. Is that right? Oh, Well, yeah, right on. Wow, yeah, right on the money. Yeah, so 5 days ago, about the official launch of the design of the new DualShock controller for the PS5, and surprisingly enough, it's not even called a DualShock anymore. It's called a DualSense. DualSense. The name giving hint to what features would be available for this controller. It's really gonna take a while to get used to calling it a DualSense instead of a DualShock 5. Because with every PlayStation console launch, we have had nothing but DualShock controllers launching with it. So we're all very accustomed to the name. Another interesting thing about this controller is that it is no longer a solid color. Nope. Surprisingly, this is the first of any PlayStation controller to have a two-tone color scheme. Two-tone. And if you haven't seen it, it's an interesting design. I suggest you go and look it up to see firsthand if you have not seen it yet. It's white on the top part of the controller, where the white curves all the way down the sides of the controller where you grip it, so the grips. And for the bottom half, it's just the standard black that Sony is mostly known for. But in the pictures, to me at least, it looks to be a sort of a navy blue color instead. And if it is, that would be a completely different, aspect for this new gen of PlayStation. Let me know what you guys think. Is it black or navy? Feel free to comment. Now, one thing I would like to point out is the way the DualSense controller is made. It does not feature the same curve life aspects as what the DualShock 3 or DualShock 4 have, which to me seems like the controller would be really stiff and uncomfortable to hold in hands. But Sony ensures that the design is a way for all gamers with different, hands and comfort would feel comfortable holding this when gaming. So we can only see once the controller, along with the PS5, launches in the projected holiday 2020 period. Before I forget, because I knew I was gonna writing the script, but I haven't even addressed the features of the controller. So it is noted that this controller will have what is called haptic feedback. And for those who do not know what haptic feedback is, I'm going to be reading the definition for it word for word because I am horrible at explaining stuff. So it states, after Googling it, haptic feedback, the use of touch for communication. The way it's implemented in gaming, and this is from me, is that it's used, it's basically where the rumble feature comes from. So like whenever you do like a certain action in a video game, that your controller vibrates, and even with like big things and small things, you get like small vibrations in your controller, and so that's what haptic feedback is. And even with the DualShock 4, it even gives audio cues via the controller, so it helps to make the player feel immersed in the games that they play, aside from looking at it as a person playing video games displayed on just a screen. For the DualSense, they are wanting to take it a step further and allow the players to feel sensation with every action that they do, be it drawing a bow from an arrow or the impact of a sword with an enemy. Along with that is the change of the share button on the DualShock 4, which is on the left-hand side of the controller, that is completely being changed to capture. The button will still carry over features associated with the button from the PS4, but will implement even more features, allowing more fluidity with sharing and creating right from your console to share with others, instead of having to basically import from your console to your PC, your laptop, whichever sort of desktop you're using to edit. Sadly, we do not have any information as far as design for the PS5 console itself yet, which I believe will carry over the same two-tone design like the DualSense, because I mean, why would they make the controller two-tone in the first place? But we do have some noted specs for the console. The most I'm most happy about is the 4K Blu-ray optical drive, the custom 825 gigabyte state stored drive, hard drive. I hope I'm stating that abbreviation right. And a very impressive CPU, which is the AMD 2-base CPU with 8 cores at 3.5 gigahertz. Am I saying this is good from my intermediate stand of technology? Yes. Am I saying there may be some room for more? Yes. Keep in mind, with each launch of a console, there are always going to be more cons than pros that will put people off and voice their opinions about it, and that's okay because it's normal. Because it allows the developers to make more improvements to meet the satisfaction of the customers. And for those who are asking whether it will be better than the Xbox Series X, which is also going to be coming out, not sure when, haven't really looked into it. I can't say for sure because I personally have not had any experience with any Xbox consoles, save for when I was a when I was a young child, and my stepbrother had one. Fun fact, that was the first time I was exposed to Conquer Live and Reloaded for the first time, like what I had slightly mentioned in the first episode. So, there you go. Moving on. Speaking of Xbox, we're gonna take a slight detour in topic and move on over to the Microsoft side. So for those who know me, a lot of y'all are really not, but anyway, I'm a big fan of Sony. Always have been since the launch of the PS2 back in the 2000s, and own almost every major console, save for the handhelds, but those will come later. But in many years of gaming, I have never owned an Xbox console. I've played on Xbox consoles like the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, but never owned one even though I have a Microsoft account. But I mean, every Windows user has one nowadays, especially if you play games on the Microsoft Store. So, anyway, yeah. Never had an Xbox because I never really was a fan of Microsoft consoles growing up, but all of that will likely change since I have convinced myself to get an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One X or S. For the Xbox One, I'm unsure what to get, so that's why I'm planning to conduct some more research before I make my final decision. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to give them. I'm always looking for input as far as deciding what to buy as for technology, especially technology that I have no clue about or barely have any knowledge about. And you may be questioning, why would I want an Xbox now since I've been with Sony and PlayStations for so long? Well, I like to experience new things in the gaming industry, and eventually I want to do reviews of every major console or related piece of technology, whether new or old, and give my honest opinion about them, rather than experiencing others' experiences with them and going off of their opinions. Plus, there are a handful of games under the Xbox library that are quote-unquote free, only if you subscribe to Xbox Pass, which is a reasonably priced monthly subscription as compared to PlayStation, which I will touch on later. And I really want to play Conquer Live and Reloaded and Grabbed by the Ghoulies, which is another good classic. I've only played Conquer Live and Reloaded like once when my stepbrother had it when we were younger. And for those that are lost, Conquer Live and Reloaded is a remake of the classic Nintendo 64 game, Conker's Bad for a Day, which in my opinion is one of the greatest old school titles back in the day. I would just like to note that I spelled school in old school with a K instead of a CH because I want to be itchy. I already have an Xbox account, same name as my PSN profile name, and pretty much every social I have already downloaded the Xbox and Xbox Game Pass app and added a whole bunch of games to my library. That way, when I finally get an Xbox One, I can instantly download all the games and applications to my console. I'm ready. And prepare for some reviews because I will give my opinion on them, although some of these consoles are not so new. Coming back from the detour, I want to talk about the projected launch period of the PS5. As I mentioned earlier, Sony is expected to launch the new console in the holiday 2020 period, despite the speculation that there may be a delay due to the coronavirus. I'm really hoping that this is true, and I will be super excited when it launches. I'm also planning to save some money if possible and pre-order the console when it does, which will be a first for me in my history of buying consoles. Normally, I would wait a long time after launch until there's some major price drops and then get the console or the game. I do this for games too. And I rarely pay for the console or games at their full price. The only console I ever paid for full price would have to be my Nintendo 3DS XL, and it was the Galaxy one that came out a couple of years, or was it a year ago? No, shoot. They came out in July 2012. So yeah, I'm definitely saving up the coins for that console. Okay, I think that wraps up today's episode. Pretty short, I know, but hey. Not really much to cover as of right now, unless I decide later on. And knowing me, I will continue rambling about other stuff that may not really be relevant to today's topic. So I really gotta stop myself somewhere. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed all that I had to cover. Let me know what you may want to hear in the next episode or future episodes. And I will see you guys later. Stay safe.